What up, YouTube? It's your boy Charles Enoch. Y'all already know we back with another Invest in Myself episode. Where the intro at? So before we get started, you already know your boy got to do the YouTube thing. So my goal is to get 10,000 subscribers before the end of this year. I know it's a crazy goal, but it's my goal, so let's make it happen. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button for me. Also, hit that like button as well, and leave a comment down below. I appreciate anybody that does all these things because it does help me reach a higher audience base. All right, so today we're gonna finish off the conversation. When you're doing velocity banking to pay your credit card off, which credit card should you focus on first? So we already know that credit card interest is calculated by simple interest. So when we're using the method of putting your income onto the credit card to reduce the interest or to even pay it off in full to avoid any interest, which card should we be focusing on first when we put our income in there? Should it be the one with a larger balance and a smaller interest rate? Or should it be one with a lower balance but a very high interest rate? And like I said on the previous video, there is not a one size fits all answer. Rather, there's an equation that you can do to figure out which card you should be paying off first. Now, when we understand how simple interest is calculated, we can use this simple interest equation on the credit cards to see which one is charging the most interest overall, thus the one draining your cash flow. And once we know that, we can use velocity banking and focus on that particular card. So I got asked to do another specific scenario similar to last week's scenario. So we're going to dive into that today. And if you have a particular scenario about this topic, go ahead, shoot me an email, and I'll try to make a video outlining your situation. So you guys already know I got the whiteboard in the back, so let's get to it. All right, so we're on the whiteboard. Let's get down to business. Let's look at this scenario here. So we're going to pretty much have the same individual in regards to an income expense standpoint here. So this individual, the income is going to be $4,500 a month. Their expenses are going to be $4,200 a month. And including part of their expenses is going to be rent, which is going to be $2,000. So their cash flow is going to be $300. Pretty much they get $4,500. We're going to minus that by $4,200. That means that they have $300 left over at the end of the month. Now, what's particularly different is the credit cards, right? So credit card number one, they're going to have an $8,000 balance and their interest rate is going to be 35%, astronomical here. And credit card number two, their balance is going to be $17,000, pretty much double the debt, right? But their interest rate is only 14%. Now we're going to make this particularly easy. We're going to say credit card one and credit card two. The minimum payment they have to put on there is $200. So pretty much we're trying to figure out which credit card is charging us the most interest and which should we apply velocity banking to use that as our bank account and get this debt paid off with avoiding interest or just reducing it tremendously, since we're going to be parking our income in the credit card, right? So we're going to move to the next step here. Which do I pay off first? So let's look at credit card number one. It has an $8,000 balance. We're going to times that by 0.35. That's the interest rate on credit card number one, and divided by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So that's the simple interest calculation, right? So $233. So for credit card number two, let's see what the interest is here. We're going to have $17,000 times that by 0.14 because 14% interest rate, right? And then divided by 12 because there's 12 months in the year. We're going to get $198.33 in regards to interest. So we know which card is charging us most, and that is going to be credit card number one. So we're going to focus using the velocity banking method onto credit card number one. All right, so on the other side of the board here, let's see when we use the velocity banking strategy, how we're going to use it and what particularly happens here, right? So the first step that we're going to do, we're going to use the cash that we get. We get $4,500 in a month, right? So first we're going to pay our rent in cash, $2,000, and then credit card number 2, we're going to pay that minimum payment of $200. So we used $2,200 of our income on the rent and credit card number 2. Now, step number 2, we're going to put the rest of our income onto credit card number 1. So whenever we get our income, we're going to pretty much put that onto our credit card number 1. This will make the balance $5,700 because remember, the credit card was $8,000 and we're putting $2,300 on there. Now for step 3, what we're going to do, we're going to pay all our other expenses on credit card number 1. So the remainder of our expenses are going to be $2,000. So what we particularly did, we put $2,300, part of our income, onto credit card. This should be number 1. So we put it onto credit card number 1, and then $2,000 went out for expenses on credit card number 1. This is our $300 of cash flow. So it got kept into the credit card, right? So we pretty much paid off $300 onto the credit card. But since we shoved a lot of our money onto the credit card, and we know that the credit card is calculated by simple interest, daily interest, we reduce some of that interest here. So for step number 4, the overall balance on credit card number 1 is going to be $7,700, right? Pretty much $300 off of the $8,000. Now, what we particularly want to know is, what was the simple interest calculated? Now, this isn't a perfect world, but we're going to pretend that it is here. So when the credit card has $7,700, then we would use the simple interest calculation of, if that's the balance, how much money or how much interest is accruing daily, right? So when the card has $7,700 on there, we times that by 0.35 because that's the interest rate. And then we divide it by 365 because there's 365 days in a year. So that equals $7.38 per day when the balance is $7,700. So we're going to assume half the time it was $7,700. And then when we first put our money on it, the $2,300, that other half of the time it was $5,700. So we want to calculate the simple interest that was accruing daily when that was the balance. So we're going to take $5,700 times that by 0.35, that is the interest rate, divided by 365 because there's 365 days in a year. And we're going to see that it's $5.46 per day of daily interest when that is the balance. So what we're pretty much going to do, we're going to pretend for 15 days it was accruing $7.38, and we're going to assume the other 15 days, the other half of the month, it was $5.46, right? So if we're going to do the math, it will be $81.98 plus $110.70. This will equal a total interest of $192.68, right? So remember, the interest is $233, so we did save on interest, right? So the true cash flow that we have is, if we have $300 and the interest that is charging us is $192.68, our true cash flow is only $107.32. So you would pretty much repeat this method by putting all your money that you can, right, onto the credit card to reduce the daily interest, as long as you can hold it in. But once you have to charge the card and the debt increases, then the daily interest on the card increases as well. So as long as you can put money in there and just kind of leave it there, as long as you can, you're pretty much going to be saving interest. So note, when you do this, the first thing that you want to do is list any expenses that you're going to have to pay with cash, right? Usually Rent is one of those expenses. Other credit cards is usually an expense that you have to pay in cash. So remember, make sure that any expenses that you have to pay in cash, separate that. All the other expenses that you can put on the credit card, you're going to use your paycheck and put that onto the credit card and just hold it on there so the daily interest will be reduced. Now, if you pay the statement balance off, that means that there is no interest that will accrue. So if this individual is able to pay the statement balance by putting all the money on there, that means that you're not going to pay interest for that particular month. And that's really what we're trying to get at. But if you can't, you can still tremendously reduce the interest. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, if you have another scenario where you want to know which credit card should you be paying off first, definitely shoot me the email. It'll be in the description below. Also, if this was helpful, definitely leave a comment, smash that like button for me. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It only just takes a little bit of time. And like always, hopefully you guys have a good weekend. Peace out.